ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जयो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य धरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। There is some background noise because of some construction work here. So this is common till we finish the temple construction. So please bear with it. I welcome all the devotees for today's Bhakti Shastri class. And today we are continuing to mantra number 4. Mantra number 4, lesson 4. Shri Radha Govind ki jai, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Today we are trying to cover mantra number 4 to 8, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 mantras. Please open the book that you have, mantra number 4. अनेजदेकं मनसो जवीयो नैनद्देवा आप्नुवं पूर्वमर्षत् तद्धावतोऽन्यनत्येति तिष्ठत् तस्मिन्नापो मातरिश्वा ददाति. Translation. Although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him. Although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain, he surpasses all in excellence. So this is the meaning of this mantra that Prabhupada has given. Here in the slide there is only half of the translation. So here the mantra 4, here there are totally in the purport 7 paragraphs, and Prabhupada explains about the logic, how the logic helps us to understand any subject matter. As we know, there are 3 pramana for understanding the absolute truth. One is the pratyaksha pramana, and anumana pramana, and final is the shabda pramana. And we have understood shabda pramana is the best pramana for understanding the knowledge, and it has to be taken from the right source, that is from the right parampara. Then only our knowledge will be complete. Now those who don't accept the Shastra, they need the explanation from the logic, because everyone will not have the faith in Shastra. If I say in Bhagavad Gita, this is told such and such, so they don't understand or they don't accept it. That time we should take some examples from our own life and try to relate it to the subject what they are trying to learn. and then explain it. But this is not going to limit the understanding of absolute truth. Now, if I'm trying to explain something using the logic, and if I am not able to apply the logic to the higher dimension of spirituality, it does not mean that the higher dimensions of spirituality is wrong or it is illogical. The logic which you are applying, it is not applicable to that subject matter. One thing is illogical, other one is beyond logic. So there is a lot of difference between the two. If somebody is speaking something which nobody can understand, like a madman can speak, it doesn't have any meaning. That is called as illogic. But if a learned man, he speaks something, but we are not able to understand, then we don't call that person as a madman. We understand that our understanding or our learning capacity is limited, so that we don't understand what he is speaking. It's like some of the scientific theses, if you read, we don't understand. Just like if you go try to understand what is rocket science, we hardly understand what they are explaining because we don't know the basic terms. That just by that we can't say that all these scientific research or the scientists, they all are illogic because I am not able to understand. That is not true. But what is true? My knowledge is limited. That's why I'm not able to understand what they are explaining. Same thing is applying here also. The present scenario, whatever we are existing in the present condition, if somebody is standing in one place, it means that he is limiting himself to that position only. But that is not true for the Lord. Although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all others running. The example here, Tasmin napo matarishva dadati. Apa matarishva. Apa means water. Matarishva means the wind and rain. Those who control these things, those are the demigods. They are powerful than us. They are more powerful than us. And they are under the control of the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So Krishna, being in one place, he can expand to all other places. Now, one of the examples that is given in the Vishnu Purana to understand this logic is here. Those who would like to read can raise their hand. Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In the Vishnu Purana, his potencies are compared to the heat and light that emanate from a fire. Although situated in one place, a fire can distribute its light and heat for some distance. Similarly, the absolute personality of Godhead, although fixed in his transcendental abode, can diffuse his different energies everywhere. Mantra for purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So this is one example that we can understand. Through this example, we can understand this mantra. The shloka is like Ekasthane Stitasyagni Josna Vistarini Yata Parasya Brahmana Shakti Sarvedam Akhilam Jagat. Ekasthane Stitasya Agni. Ekasthana means one place. The fire, it is standing in one place. And Josna Vistarini Yata. Josna means the light. It spreads everywhere. Parasya Brahmana Shakti, that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sarvedam Akhilam Jagat. He can spread himself everywhere, even though he is present in one place. The light, this light can be an example for the Lord's inconceivable potency. The Lord is present in the Goloka, as it is told in Brahma Samhita also. Goloka eva nivasati akhilatma bhutaha. Goloka is the abode of the Lord. The Goloka, the cow, the Lord is tending the cows. Surabhira Bipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambrama Sevyamanam. There are unlimited Surabhi cows, there are unlimited Lakshmis, they are serving the Lord. This is the Goloka. where the Lord is residing always. The Lord is the king there. Now, this material world is also made by the Lord himself, and he is controlling this material world also. And he has the full complete control over this material world. How is it possible? Through his energies or through his expansion. The Lord expands into Paramatma, and he is present in each and every living entity's heart. In our heart, in my heart, in your heart, in every living entity, it may be animal, bird, insect, aquatics, trees, insects, anything it may be. Every living entity has Paramatma in its heart. The Paramatma is always accompanying the Jivatma or the living entity. Now, whenever the living entity has to perform any activity, it is the Paramatma who gives the permission. As we have seen in the Bhagavad Gita, there are two functions for Paramatma. It is called Anumanta and Upadrishta. Anumanta word comes from the word Anumati. Anumati means to give permission. The Paramatma may give permission or may not give permission. That is Anumati, Anumanta. And Upadrishta. Drishta means to see. He is observing us, what he is doing. In one tree, there are two birds. That is one Jivatma, other one is Paramatma. This body is the tree, and in the heart region, in the region of heart, the Lord and the living entity is present. One living entity is busy in the enjoying of this fruit of this tree. That is, he is trying to enjoy this body and the external world through five senses. He is completely absorbed in that enjoyment, and he is not looking at the Paramatma. But the Paramatma, he is constantly observing this living entity. When this person will turn towards me, that is the observation and what he is doing. Paramatma keeps record of everything that we do. And through that, he can have the knowledge of everything. So this is the indirect way of understanding the things around the universe by the Lord. And the Lord himself is present in each and every atom, and through that also he can understand. This is the inconceivable potency of the Lord. We cannot do that because we are very limited in our body. So as we know, the living entity can take any kind of body. A person can take a body of a human being, or an animal, or a bird, or a reptile, or aquatics. So when we accept the body of a certain kind, that body will limit us for some kind of function. Now, if we take a body of a bird, the bird can fly in the air. But because we have taken a body of human being, we are not able to fly like a bird. So this body is restricting. But the living entity or the Jivatma, it has the potency. It has the potency to do such activity, but it is limited, or it is embodied in the present, this body or human form of body, because of which he is not able to exhibit such kind of activities. Or if you are taking the body of a aquatic animal like a fish, it can go deep into the ocean and it can live there peacefully. But we are not able to do that. Why? Because our body is limiting us. But for the Lord, nothing is limiting. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is also called as Virat. Virat means no energy, no power can stop him. He has all the authority. So because of that, the Lord can have the knowledge of everything. So he can be in one place and he can understand the knowledge of everything. That is the nature of the Lord that is given here. Now, when we are explaining, or when we are taking the example of a light to understand the inconceivable potency of the Lord, the light also has some limitation. What is that limitation? The light doesn't have a proper shape or form. It has irregular form. So many people say that the Lord is like the light. So there is no form, there is no God. We only have given different name for the God. We have only given some form to the God. Actually, God is formless. That kind of understanding also there. But this is also a limited understanding. The Lord has the spiritual form. The Lord's body is spiritual. There is no material things in his body. Our body is made of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. But the Lord's body is made of Satchidananda. So that's why he's called as Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. The Lord has the form. Then what about formlessness? Yes, having no form is also a potency of the Lord. Being all powerful, the Lord has the power to not to have the form. That means even if you worship the Lord without form, that is the Nirakara, the formless, impersonal, or Brahma Jyoti, even if you worship him in that way, he will reciprocate in the same manner, in the same whatever you are worshipping. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have the form. The form is always there. This will be elaborated in the next coming shloka. Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare.
Although the Lord has his energies are not different, one should not mistake these energies for the supreme truth, nor should one wrongly consider that the Supreme Lord is distributed everywhere impersonally or that he loses his personal existence. Mantra 4, purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Just because I want a t-shirt.
So this is one more explanation Prabhupada is giving. Anything material that we see, if you distribute it, then its originality is lost. If I take a paper and I have to distribute this paper to 10 people, so I'll tear it. I'll tear it into 10 pieces and distribute it. Then the original paper is lost. That is true for material things. But for the spiritual things, it is not true. Even if you take infinite things from the Lord is always as he is. He will not reduce. Or if you add so many things to the Lord, then also he is complete. That is the Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. He is always complete. He is Purna. This is we have already learnt in the invocation itself. So he will not lose his personal existence, even though there are unlimited expansions that are coming from the body of the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many incarnations that are explained. Especially, there are prominently 21 expansions. And the famous 10 expansions, Matsya, Varaha, Kurma, Narasimha, all these 10 Dashavatara expansions. These are more prominently known. But in Bhagavatam, it is told, as there are so many waves in the ocean, so many expansions are coming from the Lord. But still, the Lord is always complete. He will remain as he is. Siddharth Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Sri Upanishad wants us to be very careful to play the part designated for us by the Lord. This does not mean that the individual soul has no initiative of its own. Because he is part and parcel of the Lord, he must partake of the initiative of the Lord as well. Mantra 4, purport. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. The living entity, he is also a part and parcel of the Lord. Prabhupada uses the word here, part and parcel. This has significance. If you just say part, then somebody may say we and God is same, because the part need not be separated all the time. It may be attached to the same original. But here it is told, He is a part as well as parcel. Parcel means he is packed separately. He has a independent movement or independent existence, the living entity. Whenever the living entity wants to serve the Lord, there is an opportunity. And whenever he wants to be independent, whenever he wants to forget the Lord, then also he will give the permission, or he will give the freedom. So that is called part and parcel. So when we say everything is Lord, he knows everything and he controls everything, it doesn't mean that he will take away our freedom to be ourselves. So whatever the small freedom is there for the living entity, it is always there with the jiva. The Lord doesn't take it away. Sometimes we ask why the Lord is not making all of us devotees. Why can't he himself make us devotee? Why we should endeavor so much? The answer is the Lord will not force anybody. The real love, it will not come by force. If needed, he can make everyone into devotees, or he can just mesmerize everyone and he can make everyone serve him. But that becomes a slavery. He don't want that. You have to do it voluntarily. That is what is told here. You have to take the initiative. If you are not willing to serve him, if you want to forget him, then he will give you all the facility to forget him. Just like Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, those people will think that I am the supreme, I am the Ishvara, I am the controller. But at the same time, he will give some hints that your thinking is not true. Because there will be someone who will come to you and show that whatever you are thinking is an illusion. So that illusion will be broken sometimes. In our life also it will happen. We are living in the spiritual consciousness. We think that we are not going to die anytime. Nobody is thinking that I'm going to die sometime, because our planning goes on in such a way that as if we are not going to die, we are going to live here forever. And if anything goes wrong, suddenly we get upset. But actually, we should be always realistic that this body is going to be old one day and it is going to be lost. It will again join this earth again. So all these things, we should be aware of it. But the reality is, we just think that we are living in some spiritual world eternally. For example, the medical students, when they go and they work with the dead body because they have to do the surgery. So first time when they do it, some people faint on the spot. They have learned in the theory that these are the parts of the body, this is like this is like this. But when they go for practical application, they just can't take it. Because in one or the other way, we have that imagination that we are in the spiritual experience. So when that is broken, then we'll come to the reality. Similarly, the Lord, he will give all the facility, but at the same time, he will give some hints, or some we'll become old, or our bodily energy will go down, or whatever we endeavor, everything will not happen. So there is some scope for thinking why these things are not happening. So he will give some opportunity to come out of this illusion and go back to Godhead. So that initiative, or that small freedom, is always there for the living entity. And he must partake of the initiative of the Lord as well. Nandita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
When a person properly utilizes his initiative or active nature with intelligence, understanding that everything is the Lord's potency, he can revive his original consciousness, which was lost due to association with Maya, the external energy. Mantra 4, purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. When a person wants to be a king in front of another king, that means if the real king is there and one other is ordinary citizen, he wants to be the king, then it is possible only in illusion. Because nobody can, a ordinary citizen, he cannot have the power of a king. But of course, he can have in dreams, or he can make a drama. He will become a big king and he is going to rule someone. But when the drama is over, then everything closes. Similarly, when the living entity, he wants to become like Krishna, then Krishna will create this material world. Okay, you want to rule, you want to become the king, you want to show your power. Okay, this is the opportunity, go and do it. And the karma will act. How much tapasya you do, that much you can grow. How much of austerity, the penances that you take, so much you can grow materially. And you can rule over others. But that life will be ended after some time. It is not eternally present. It will be ended. Then again, you have to take birth again, depending on what kind of consciousness that you have developed during that particular lifetime. But here, Prabhupada is giving the example of an intelligent person. An intelligent person who understands with the help of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra that this material world is temporary, and whatever endeavor I have done, it is not going to help me eternally. Tasyeva heto prayateta kovido nalabhyate yat pramatam uparyadaha. Kovidaha. Kovida means one who is very intelligent. What he will do, he will not endeavor for something that is available uparyadaha, in the upper or lower planetary systems. That is demigods or demons, what they are enjoying. What he will do, tallabhyate yad anyata sukam kalena sarvatra gabira ramhasa. Whatever happiness you are trying to get, it is anyhow it is available without endeavor also. Just like nobody tries to get some problem, but the problem will come automatically. Similarly, whatever pious activity you have done, accordingly you will get happiness, the material happiness. You don't need any special endeavor for that. Then what you have to do, you should get something that is not available within these 14 planetary systems. That is the surrender to Lord, the devotion to Lord, and going back to Godhead, the one-stop solution for all the problems. So the original consciousness. By that, one can revive his original consciousness, which was lost due to the association with Maya. When the living entity wants to live like Krishna, then there is Maya. When the living entity wants to live with Krishna, then there is Krishna. So that is the difference. Where there is Krishna, there is no Maya. Where there is light, there is no darkness. Mantra 5. Taddejati tannaijati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasya asya bahyataha. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. This is mantra number 5. In this fifth mantra, there are totally 10 paragraphs. In the first paragraph, Prabhupada is explaining how the Lord is inconceivable, the example of the logic, how the logic is limited to understand the Lord, the transcendental activities of the Lord. And the second paragraph, Prabhupada is explaining about how the Lord or the absolute traits is very far, as well as he is the nearest. He is very near to all of us. Then the next three paragraphs, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 paragraphs, they are explaining about the deity worship. That is the form of the Lord in which he has incarnated as Archa Vigraha, how it is non-different from the Lord himself. And in the 7th paragraph, he is talking about the Nirguna, Saguna and Nirguna, the Lord with qualities and without qualities. And finally, 8, 9, and 10th paragraph, he is explaining how the things are separate from him. At the same time, it is within the Lord. The energies, they are same. There is no difference between energy and energetic. At the same time, the Lord, the energetic, is having a independent existence than the energy itself. So that is the, there are totally 10 paragraphs for this. So what is the logic here? We are trying to understand the Lord. The Lord walks but does not walk. He is very far away, but he is very near also. And he is within everything. He is outside of everything. If we understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present everywhere, then there is no question of walking. Because he are everything, he is covering everything. Then what is there to walk? There is no other space to walk. If you are walking means, if I am here at this position point, if I want to go to another place, in which place I am not there, then I can walk. But if the Lord is everywhere, Vishnu means Vishate, one who is omnipresent everywhere. Then what is the question of walking? There is nothing to walk because he is covering everything within himself. But at the same time, he walks. The Lord can walk. How he can walk? The Lord, whatever he does, the living entity, whatever activities, as the example earlier, whatever you learned, whatever activities that we are doing, it will be first upadrishta anumanta. It will be permitted by the Lord. So what we are doing, it is actually the Lord is making us to do. The living entity doesn't have any capacity to move this body. This body is the yantra or the machine. And the energy for moving this yantra, the machine, is within this body only. The driver is only able to control the body. If you say, take the example of a vehicle, now there is a big truck and there is a small driver in the driver's seat. The driver, what is the job of the driver? To move the control system in such a way that how he wants to go, in whatever direction he wants to take it. In one sense, driver is the mover of the vehicle. But at the same time, driver doesn't have any energy to move the vehicle. If he gets down the vehicle, he can't even lift one wheel of the vehicle. He can't even take any part of the vehicle. It's so heavy. It's tons of load. He can't move anything. But when you are sitting inside the driver seat, he has all the control system so that he can move it around, or he can take the vehicle as he desires. Same thing happens to the living entity also. The living entity's job is to desire. I want to go there. I want to do this. I want to do this. Then what happens? The material nature. There are three modes, sattva, rajas, tamas. These three modes will take over. They have the control over this body, or they have the energy. And this energy will be used to fulfill our desire according to the mode and karma that we have accumulated. Simple example, if I want to raise my hand also, if I have karma, then I can raise. Otherwise, the hand will be paralyzed. I cannot raise my hand also. So raising of the hand is not in my hand. It is in the hand of the Lord. The Lord is the remote cause and the material energy is the immediate cause. Then what is the credit for the jiva, the living entity, to perform anything? Only desire. It is like the small child is sitting on the shoulder of the father and the child is dictating, I want to go there. My father is walking. I want to go here. The father goes there also. Now, if the child says, I want to go somewhere where it is not possible to go or not allowed to go, father will not go. Just like you go to the second floor of the building and I want to jump. You will not be able to jump because it is not allowed. I want to fly in the air. No, you can't. In this body, you can't do that. So there are so many restrictions. If you are completely, absolutely free, if you are doing everything by yourself, then why you are not able to do it again? Why you are not able to do it all freedom, all the ways? It is not possible. You can do in a limited manner, just like a small child is given within the house, you can go anywhere, but don't cross the door. Like that, the Lord is also given some freedom for us within this body, within certain limitations. You can do the activity, but not beyond that. And that is also not by yourself. The Lord is in control. So either walking or doing any other activity, it is all the Lord is doing it, and we are getting the experience. So the Lord walks and he does not walk. And he is very far away. He is in Golok Vrindavan. We are not able to see him. Even if you take any kind of vehicle, any kind of rocket, it is impossible to reach there. But he is the nearest person. Even if you are embracing someone, he can be the nearest person, but the Lord is within our heart. So within the heart, if somebody is there, then who can be more nearer than them to us? Nobody can take that position. So he is very, very near to us, but he is very, very far. Now, why we take this example of very far, even though when he is very near? If somebody is very near, then we don't have to say he is very far, but it is told that he is very away, far, and also he is near also. So here we should understand how we are able to conceive or understand the Lord. It is told that having something is not the position. The knowledge of the having is the real position. Means if you have some, if you say, for example, simple example, your father has kept some money for you. He has given few crores of rupees in your name for your life. You can take that money and you can spend it. But he has not told you that it is there. Then what happens? Because of that ignorance of having the money, the person has to work. He will work like a poor person and he has to spend only what he earns. That means he is ignorant about what he is having. Similarly, when we are ignorant of the Lord's presence in our heart, we can't take the advantage of that presence. But when we are having the knowledge of having the Lord's presence in our heart and in the presence of in every other living entity, then we can see the Lord everywhere. Sthavara jangama deke na deke taramurti sarvatra haya nija ishtadeva spurti. The person who has developed this consciousness to see the Lord in each and every living entity, in each and everything, for him, the Lord is the nearest person. He is everywhere. Whenever we see any object, just like Prabhupada, when he went to the Western world, as any other person goes to that country, they will learn so many habits. The Western culture they will learn. Just like when we, in earlier, in India, people were wearing dhoti kurta. But after Britishers, we are wearing pant shirt because we got influenced by them. We understood whatever they have, that is better than what we are having. Anything comes from England is good. That was the time, especially during Britishers' time and after independence. But Prabhupada told, I will make disciples in the West and I will teach them devotion. And when you see them, you will also learn. That's what Prabhupada did. So when Prabhupada went to the West, he did not see their Western culture to be adopted or something great. What he saw, those things, whatever opulence they had, by whatever means, he tried to use it in the service of the Lord. There are so many things. Technology is very much developed in the American countries or the European countries. Prabhupada used those facilities for serving Krishna. He used the aeroplanes, he used the printing press, he used the trucks, buses, everything he used in the service of Krishna, the dictaphone. Whatever technology is present, he used it. So that is like seeing Krishna everywhere, seeing the things belonging to Krishna. So if we offer anything to such devotee, the pure devotee of the Lord, it will be as good as offering to Krishna himself, because he will use it in the service of the Lord. For such a person, the Lord is always there. So he is far away for those who has forgotten him, and he is very, very near for those who are devotees. And he is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. The Lord enters everything. He enters our heart. He enters atoms also. In the beginning, he creates this universe, and he enters as a Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu gives birth to Brahma. Brahma creates all the living entities, 84 lakh species of life. The Lord enters in each and every living entity. But at the same time, when he creates all this creation, he is outside of everything. He is not attached to anything. He is completely aloof from them. That is called, he is inside everything. He is present in each and every living entity. At the same time, he is outside everything. He is not affected. When we are dying, we feel the pain. We feel that we are losing everything. But that experience, it will not bewilder the Lord, even though he is present as Paramatma in our heart. That is, it keeps him outside everything. He is always in the transcendental platform, in whatever situation he may be. Anybody would like to read? They can raise their hand. Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The contradictions given here prove the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. He walks and he does not walk. Ordinarily, if someone can walk, it is illogical to say he cannot walk. But in reference to Lord, such a contradiction simply serves to indicate his inconceivable power. Mantra 5, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So the logic is a servant of our learning. It is not the master. Logic can help whenever there is difficulty in understanding. But we cannot take that logic and conclude that whatever the fact is there, that itself is wrong. The logic, it is like illogic and the translogic. Illogic means something a madman or a very ignorant person, he speaks without any basis, without any understanding. That is called as illogic. But what is the translogic, or something which is beyond the logic, is when the person who is trying to learn, his understanding is very poor, or it is incomplete. Then he is not able to pursue the knowledge. Just like the example of rocket science or a very advanced science thesis. They use so many scientific terms. Or if you ask any doctor to explain about any disease, how this disease is caused and what is the solution, they will use so many medical terms which we can't understand. But we cannot say that this doctor is illogic, or he doesn't know anything. He's speaking something which I am not able to understand. So that is not the fact. The fact is my understanding is limited. I am not able to understand. My qualification to learn what he is telling is not sufficient. The problem is with me, not with the doctor. Similarly, the Shastra, when it explains about the activities in the another platform in which we don't have the access, then we should understand that we are limited, not the Lord or the Shastra. Now, this example we can take as Archa Vigraha, the Lord's deity form. So, explain how the Archa Vigraha form of the Lord is not material. Why does the Lord appear in that form of Archa Vigraha? Those who would like to answer can raise their hand. Why Archa Vigraha is not material and why he comes in that form? Yeah, Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Actually, Archa Vigraha form is, he is coming in Archa Vigraha form so that people can understand, they can assume a form of the Lord and they can pray him. They need not imagine some different features, but they can assume the form of the Lord, that he will be like this only with Sanghu, Chakra and all that. This is how he will be, four-handed form. So that is why he is coming in Archa Vigraha form. And it is made up of different materials, Prabhuji. I don't remember what are the elements. They are all made up of so many different elements, so that even if water is poured or even if Abhishek is done, it is not getting spoiled like that, Prabhuji. It is made of spiritual thing only. And to install this Archa Vigraha also, they do so many pujas, so many things, Kumbhabhishekam and all that, so that it is not getting spoiled very fast. Hare Krishna. This is what I know, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Siddharth Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So first question is that why it is not material. So he only said that Janma Karma Me Divyam. So even his Archa Vigraha is also his karma. If it is karma, then that has to be Divya. So that has to be spiritual. And also you have already said Iswara Paramakrishna Sachidananda Vigraha. So that explains why Archa Vigraha is not material. And second is why he comes in that form. So there are many explanations for that. Paritranaya Sadhunam can be one. For devotees, he has to be, so how will be nearer as well as far. So the nearer part can be explained by this, so that he is nearer. So I think that's my explanation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Anu Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, I think Archa Vigraha form of Lord is not material. From my experience, I would tell as usual, when we love somebody, like my grandmother or my parents or anybody I love, their pictures for me are not material. They are somebody I love. My relations, they are with them. So when I look at them, it is in my eyes that they are not material. Otherwise, for the world, it may be material. Similarly, when we see Lord in Vigraha form, we see through our limited vision, and for a devotee, it is not material. For a non-devotee, it is an idol. For a devotee, it is a Vigraha, Archa Vigraha. And why does Lord appear in the form of Archa Vigraha? In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam, I don't remember the rest. He accepts whatever we offer him. So he is promising in Bhagavad Gita that I will accept, and he will accept whatever we offer him with devotion and love. So that is one of the reasons why he appears in Archa Vigraha form. And in my opinion, the major reason why I would say he appears in Archa Vigraha form is he allows us to have a relationship with him in 5 primary rasas, and there is no law which restricts that we cannot have such any kind of relation. As a he can be our parent, he can be our friend. As a servant, we can serve him. So he allows us the liberty to have a relationship with him. So we like to have a relationship like we smell a flower. Any smell that comes, we trace it. Where is that smell coming from? And when we find a rose, we want to have that rose in our garden, and we put a plant. And when we put a plant, we have a relation with that plant. We go and see it every day. We water it, and we eagerly look forward to its growth. Similarly, when he's allowing us, we are accepting divinity, we chase divinity, we feel more comfortable with the form, and that is why he allows us the liberty to have a form. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Pooja Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji. You muted.
Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sadhar Pranam. Prabhuji, first question that it is not material, because as in chapter 12, we see that Archa Vigraha is, I would like to give an example over here of the letter box, that a letter box, if it is made by, if we try to post any letter, and if any child has made it as a toy letter box, then we don't really post it in that. But any letter box which has that authorized thing and authorized stamp, where we post the letter and it will go to the destination. That is how the Archa Vigraha is. And Archa Vigraha is with the all mantras and everything. That is, we do the pratisthapana, and the proper spiritual master, the best spiritual master, whoever are performing the puja, and it is actually we offer and we call it is not only the idol, as Archana Mataji said, that it is made of different elements, definitely, but then it has that prana pratishtha. We do the prana pratishtha with all the for rituals following on that. So definitely it is not material. And why he comes, that it is needed to, Lord has accepted everybody as Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Three features we have seen. And Lord has accepted everybody. The one who are actually seeing the Lord in that form has that relationship with the Lord. But the Bhagavan feature has, how Arjuna has said that Arjuna has already convinced, and Arjuna has already got the Lord in Bhagavan Roop. That is why he requested that I don't want to see your Vishwaroop, and he was really afraid to see that. And he wanted Lord to be in that Shama Sundar Roop. So that is where we see that Archa Vigraha. That is the Lord's form we see it in Archa Vigraha. And there the Sambandha, Abhyuday and Prayojan, what we have seen. So that Sambandha, that relationship is really with the Lord, and only devotee can know this. A non-devotee really can know the Archa Vigraha. Only the devotee can know this through the devotions, and that sambandha can be really achieved through that, and that relations can be made. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Since the source of energy from which God appears is one and the same, in the sense that this energy is inconceivable energy. And even though the God appears in the Archa Vigraha form out of any material, wood or whatever, stone or earth or whatever it is, his energy is inconceivable. And this energy can be experienced by the living entity, by the will, the way they want to experience the energy. This energy of the Lord is inconceivable. It's available everywhere in the same form or in a different form or in the same way. But it all depends upon the way we wanted to perceive this energy of the Lord as a spiritual energy. It is not material, because it cannot be material, as God's energy is inconceivable. And though the Archa Vigraha, it is made of different metals, we are able to conceive this, we are able to perceive this energy by the will, by the way we wanted it to be perceived. This is my understanding, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Akhila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, like during Vedic system, no, Archa Vigraha was not there, it seems. They were doing Ajna system. Afterwards, that Archa Vigraha has come. That is mainly for this Grahasthashram, like mainly the people who deal with material things. Even Himalayan sadhu sannyasis never do, because their mind will be like Man Mandir. So that form of purity, it will be there in them, but we don't have. So that's why, like by doing Archa Vigraha, what we are thinking is like even that Vigraha is also one of our family member, and like the logic behind is that, like I think, like many told, like we do Shodasha Upachar. Why means, as we like are not nowadays, during those days, the best example, Krishna and Sudama. When Sudama comes to Krishna's home, when Atiti visits to somebody's home, like they do all the, like they give vastra, they give they wash their feet, like all those Shodasha Upachara they do. Same thing, same procedure we do like Archa Vigraha. So like here, no, we like for material people, no, to that place or to avoid all those things, material things. This is also one of the forms we are worshipping. I think so. That's all.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Krite adhyayato Vishnu tretayam yajito makaihi dwapare paricharyayam kalau tad harikirtanat. This is the Yuga Dharma. In Krita Yuga, it was Dhyana, Treta Yuga, Yajna, Dwapara Yuga, Archana, and Kali Yuga is the Hari Sankirtana. But the Archa Vigraha was there always. Even in the Satya Yuga also Archa Vigraha was there. If you take the history of many deities, for example, Sri Rangam, if you take, it is there since so many yugas. Even in Satya Yuga also there. But the prominent dharma for that particular yuga will be different. This Archana. Archana is for especially Dwapara Yuga. Apart from that, here the question is why Archa Vigraha form is not material. Now, for the Lord, there is nothing material and spiritual. That difference will not be there. For him, everything is spiritual only. For us, it looks like material. For example, when Ravana, he wanted to kidnap Sita, for him, it was a Maya Sita. And Sita Devi, she is Lakshmi herself. She is the person who brings lot of fortune for everyone. If you say Lakshmi has come to our house, means you are the most opulent person or most fortunate person. But Ravana also took the fortune to his house. But that fortune became a death for him. That became the cause of death. Whenever we use anything of this world for our enjoyment, then it is called material. Anything that we use for the service of the Lord, then it is spiritual. Because it is used for the right purpose. So that is the definition for material and spiritual. When we offer bhoga to the Lord, the prasadam is spiritual. Because Krishna has accepted it. Why? Because it looks like material, but it has already accepted it is used in the service of the Lord. The temple is spiritual. The paraphernalia that is used in the temple, it is all spiritual. The conch shell, the ganta, the cloths that is used for the Lord, it is all spiritual. Why? Because there is no difference. We are living in the relative world, but the Lord is absolute. What is relative? Relative means today it may be true, tomorrow it may not be true. It may change. Now, if I say I am the richest person of the world or richest person in India, it is true today. In 2023, it may be true, but may not be in 2030. Somebody else will come, he will take over. That means we are living in the relative world. But for the Lord, he is absolute. He is Lakshmipati. He is always Lakshmipati. Either millions of years back or millions of years later also, he is the person who is the supreme. That's why he is in the absolute truth. He is living in the absolute platform. We are living in the material platform or in the relative platform. Now, for the Lord, it is told the Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinnatvat Nama Namine. This example is given for the holy name Abhinnatvat Nama Namine. Abhinna. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself, there is no difference. When we say Krishna, 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 it is as good as having Krishna with us. But if you are thirsty and if you want to drink water, if I just say water, 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 my thirst will not go away. There is an object which is called as water, and there is a name for that object, that is water. It is two are different. But for the Lord, the Krishna and the Lord himself, Krishna, there is no difference. That's why whenever we hear Krishna's name or whenever we speak Krishna's name, Krishna is there. He is present there itself on the spot. Now, this form of the Lord, Archa Vigraha, whatever we are seeing, this is not something imaginary. This is given by the people who has seen the Lord. There are descriptions in Srimad Bhagavatam and other literatures. Each and every part of the body of the Lord is explained, how it is exactly. The complete description, when 4 Kumaras goes to the Vaikuntha and they take the darshan of the Lord, then there is the Bhagavatam elaborately explains the Lord is wearing a yellow garment and he is wearing a peacock feather and he is having 4 hands, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, and it goes on explaining. If you just read, just by reading that, our consciousness gets elevated. When Dhruva Maharaj, he was doing so much of tapasya, and finally the Lord came in front of him. Again, the Bhagavatam take the opportunity to describe how was the Lord looking at in that form. Yajna, I think it is Yajna who came as the Lord, one of the form of the Lord. Like that, Narad Muni saw the Lord in his heart. So wherever there is an incident of devotee meeting the Lord, there is the description of the Lord. Now these devotees who have seen the Lord, who has experienced the presence of the Lord in front of their eyes, they have described this Archa Vigraha form and they have made this form. That means whatever we are seeing, it is the actual form of the Lord. It is not some imaginary, okay, Lord should be very powerful. Okay, let us give him some weapons. The Lord should be very beautiful. Okay, we'll make more beautiful. It is not like that. It is not based on our requirement that we made that form. If that is true, then why we have the form of like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha? They have different purposes. For that purpose, the Lord has taken that form, and in that form itself, they are worshipped. The Lord has stolen the butter, and we worship him as butter thief. We don't say, how can the Lord be a thief? That is not possible. Okay, we don't have this form. No, it is not your choice. It is Lord himself has taken that form, and you have to worship him. Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. Why they have taken that form? We have not chosen that form for them. That form is taken by the Lord himself. So we will worship him like that. So this form, it is the form in which the Lord has given the vision to his devotees, and those devotees have done all the effort to explain to us, and we are not able to understand. Then what is to be done? Then it has to be explained in a manner which you are able to conceive. For that, the form is made with the materials which are visible to us, which are conceivable to us. Like the form can be made with the metal, it can be made with wood or painting or the jewelries, anything. So all these things are visible to us and we can conceive them, we can perceive them. That's why these materials are used to describe the spiritual form of the Lord. Now, when we use this material world, material things to describe the spiritual forms, then the importance is to be given to the spiritual aspect of that things, not to the material. For example, we have this book. In this book, there is ink. Now, if I simply pour some ink on the paper, then what I can see? I can see only paper with some ink spotted on that. But if I see this book, I don't identify it as a ink. I'm identifying, oh, this is the mantra of Ishopanishad with the meaning, translation, and Prabhupada given the purport. This comes to my mind, not the ink. Oh, this is the book of this quality. This is the paper made of this, and this is the ink which is a black color. If that comes, then your consciousness is very, very poor. For a person who has the knowledge of English, of the language in which the book is written, for him, what he conceives, this is the book in which Ishopanishad is explained. Similarly, when the Lord has the form which may be material looking, but for a devotee, he sees the spiritual aspect. Oh, this is the Lord who is standing in front of me. That's why there are 3 levels of understanding for the deity. One is called Jadamaya. Jadamaya means for an ignorant person, it is like an illiterate person, a spiritually illiterate person. If you give the book, he will just see, oh, is there any image in this book? Can I see some photos? Like that, they'll see. Small children, if you give, they will only like the pictures. This picture is nice. They don't get any information. That's called Jadamaya. They'll see, oh, this is a statue of the Lord. Then one more is Manomaya. People think that this is the symbolic representation of the Lord. This is not the Lord himself, but this is the symbolic. Okay, the Lord is there in spiritual world, and his statue is drawn here. At least this is better than Jadamaya. Jadamaya means it is some statue. Somebody likes some statue, they are done. Some artist can do any kind of form. That is the very lowest understanding. Better than that, this is the statue which represents the Lord. That is the second level of understanding. Third level of understanding is Chinmaya. That means there is no difference. The Lord himself is standing before me. There is no difference between the Lord himself and the person who is in Goloka Vrindavana. Both are same. No difference. He is the absolute truth. That is the perfect understanding of the Archa Vigraha. Why the Lord has taken this form? There are 2 main reasons. One is our incapability to see him, and his mercy to give an opportunity for us to serve him. He will take the form in which we can serve him. Just like in the temples, we wake up the Lord, we bathe the Lord, we dress him, we put him garland, we decorate him with flowers, jewelries, and we do arti for him, and we cook nice food, and we give bhoga to him, and we do kirtan for him, we do utsav for him. The whole, if you say one city, entire city can be surrounding the temple. This is all, nowadays it is lost, but still it is present in some of the places. It's like the place Udupi is called as Udupi because the Lord Udupi Shri Krishna is there. The entire activity of that place to be limited, the activity in a temple or a house, it is all around the Lord's pleasure, to please the Lord. Everything that happens, it is for pleasing the Lord. To give an opportunity of that kind, the Lord has come in the form of a Archa Vigraha. If he doesn't come like that, then we cannot understand who he is. If the mother wants to lift the child, then mother has to bend. The child cannot jump over the mother. The child doesn't have that capacity. The mother only has to bend and lift the child. Similarly, we just can't do anything. We can only, just like a small child can cry, that's all. And we don't even know why we are crying. The child also doesn't know why child is crying. But when the child cries, mother comes and the child becomes peaceful. Similarly, the Lord also, he will bend as much as we need to understand him. This is explained in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. What and all he will do. First of all, he says, you should become a pure devotee. No, that is not possible. Okay, at least you should remember me always. No, that is also not possible. At least you should do some activity which makes you to remember me. No, that is also not possible. Then at least you give up your sense gratification. Like that, he will he'll bring down so much that somewhere we can catch him. That is the reason why Prabhupada, why the Lord has given the form of a Archa Vigraha. Next, 6th one. I think 5th one itself. Taddure tadvantarasya tadantike tad sarvasyasya bhahyatah. Yeah, those who would like to read can raise their hand. Puja Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Taddure tadva antike. He is far away, but he is very near as well. And at the same time, antike, very near, just like Krishna is standing here. One has to understand very near. He has kindly come to you near, so near that you can touch his lotus feet. You can offer him some foodstuff. You can decorate him. He is agreeing. Yes, I will accept. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else like to read? You can raise your hand. Archana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes,
Tad dure tadvantike. How does he accept? That is called durashtam.
Durastam.
Very durastam. Very far away. At the same time, antike, immediately. Provided you know that the means. If you know, then you can see. That is God's power. He can remain far away, but he can immediately be approachable by the devotees. Bhagavad Gita lecture 13.16, Bombay, October 10, 1973. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Tad dure tadva antike. The Archa Vigraha of the Lord descends at the request of the Acharyas, the holy teachers, and works exactly in the original way of the Lord by virtue of the Lord's omnipotence. Mantra 8, purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. In the Ishopanishad, in the beginning, we have tried to understand what is Ishopanishad principle. And then we understood by living with the Ishopanishad principle, one can live in this world for hundreds of years without getting entangled. Then in this section of Ishopanishad, that is 4 to 8, we are trying to understand who is that Ishvara. Because if you want to leave the Ishavasa principle, then first of all, we should understand the Isha, the Lord. So that is the purpose of this section, that is 4 to 8. The shloka 4 and 5, it has told that the Lord is inconceivable and we cannot understand with our material intelligence. And 6 to 7, it is explaining, first we have to develop the spiritual vision. The spiritual vision towards the Archa Vigraha. Only we can understand who is the Lord. And by seeing worldly things, that is, even though the Lord has taken the material objects to show the spiritual form, we should see him with the spiritual vision. And then we can understand the Lord. So that is the 6th and 7th. Now, finally, the 8th shloka, 8th mantra, it explains this vision what we have developed further and directed to the Ishvara helps us to understand him. That is, further aspects of the Lord, it is explained in the shloka number 8. Now, further continuing our learning towards the spiritual vision, text number 6. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmanyevanu pashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijugupsate. He who sees systematically everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all living entities as his part and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything or any being. That is the 6th one. And the 7th one, Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmanyava bhut vijanataha tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyataha. Translation. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks in quality and one with the Lord becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion or anxiety for him? So this is the 6th and 7th shloka. So when we have this spiritual vision towards the Lord, it should be always towards the living entities also, because the living entity are part and parcel of the Lord. Now, finally, here it is told in the 7th shloka that ekatvam anupashyati. Ekatvam anupashyataha. So this needs some explanation. What is this ekatvam? Because the Ishopanishad or any other Upanishads are the part of Veda, they don't directly speak about the Lord's name. There is a lot of scope for interpretation, interpreting the meaning towards the impersonalism. Now, the Mayavadis, those who say that we can also become God, we are also as powerful as God. Only thing is now we have forgotten that we are God. Such kind of philosophy may be deviated from this shloka. For that, Prabhupada is giving the explanation for this ekatvam. What is actually ekatvam anupashyataha means? Ekatvam means oneness. Anupashyata means constantly see or see through the authority. Now, when the ekatvam comes, here ekatvam means there is a equanimity or there is a harmony between the living entity and the Lord himself. The Lord, whatever he desires, the desire of the devotee is also same in line with that. Then that is called ekatvam. Example, in a family, everyone has their own purpose. That is, everyone has some like and dislike. But when it comes to the good of a family, then they all are having one goal or one likeness. Just like our house should be good, it should be clean, it should be peaceful, we should be prosperous, we should be living happily. These all are some material examples in which every family members wants to have it. There is no difference between that. That is called ekatvam. If you take a nation, in a country, every person has his own goal for his life. That is the difference. But at the same time, we all desire that our country should be prosperous. Everyone here should be peaceful. There should not be any difficulty. There should not be poverty. All these problems should not be there. These all are called ekatvam. Every citizen of the country, he will desire for it. That is the ekatvam. Similarly, when even in the spiritual platform, when we are understanding, when we have having the spiritual vision, then whatever the Lord is desiring, the desire of the devotee also becomes the same. So what is the desire of the Lord? The Lord wants to be with the devotees. That is, everyone should take to the devotional service of the Lord, and by serving the Lord, everyone should become happy. Jivera Swarupohaya Krishnera Nityadasa. So when we are in our real constitutional position as a servant of the Lord, then we will become happy. And whoever helps in this regard, they are the most dear people to the Lord. That is told in Bhagavad Gita at the end. Whoever explains this Bhagavad Gita knowledge to others, they are the dearmost devotees to me, and there is no other person who is more dearer than him. That is what the Lord has told. So the devotee wants to glorify the Lord, and the Lord, he also wants the same. That means the more and more living entity, they should realize what is their position, what is their condition, and they should all become happy by serving the Lord. So that is the ekatvam that is explained here. Puja Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji.
Ekatvam anupasyataha. The Ishopanishad advises ekatvam anupashyataha. A devotee should see the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be situated in everyone's heart and should also see every living entity as an eternal servant of the Lord. This vision is called ekatvam, oneness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Lata Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Ekatvam Anupashyatah, mantra 7. Although there is a relationship of a master and a servant, both master and servant are one because of the spiritual identity. This is also Ekatvam. Thus, the conception of Ekatvam for the Vaishnava is different from that of the Mayavadi. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5, 12 forward.
Archana Mataji.
Yes, okay. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Just as in a family, the interest of all members is one, or in a nation, the national interest is one, although there are many different individual citizens. Since the living entities are all members of the same Supreme Family, their interest and that of Supreme Being are not different. Mantra 6, purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Next, coming to the 8th shloka. The further understanding of the Lord, spiritual vision. This is speaking about the spiritual form of the Lord. Saparyaga chukram akayam avrinam. Saparyaga chukram akayam avrinam. Ashnaviram shuddham apapa vidham. Kavir manishi paribhu swayambhur. Yathatyattatorthan vedadat shashwatibhya samabhyaha. Translation. Yeah, Puja Mataji, can you read the translation?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, mantra 8. Such a person must factually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, because beyond reproach, without whence, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Now here, in this shloka, it is something very important to understand. Saparyaga chukram. If you see the meaning, Ashnaviram. Ashnaviram means without veins. And Akayam. Akayam means unembodied. The Lord doesn't have body. And he is Ashnaviram. He doesn't have the veins. So here we should try to understand why the two things are told. If I say somebody doesn't have the body, again, what is the need for telling that he doesn't have veins? It is like saying like such and such person doesn't have a car and he doesn't have steering also. There is no need to say like that unless he has some car which doesn't need steering or which doesn't have the system in which the ordinary cars are present. That is why there are two things are told, which looks like redundant. Akayam, Ashnaviram. So the first one says that Akayam. That means the Lord doesn't have the body. And second sentence says that Ashnaviram. So combining both, we should understand that the Lord doesn't have the body which has the veins. That means the Lord's body doesn't have the veins. The body of the Lord is not made of this material, whatever we have, like the bone, the veins, the blood, all these things. They are not present in the body of the Lord. The Lord does not have another soul within. The Lord himself is completely powerful. That is, there is no something inside and outside. He is himself. There is nothing separate from him. When we change our body, the soul is different. It will be separated and the body is given out. It will be separated and another new body will be given. But for the Lord, it doesn't happen. The Lord doesn't change his body. That's why he can remember everything. This is told in 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So that is the reason why there are two things told. Akayam is also given. Ashnaviram is told. And yeah, Akayam as well as the Ashnaviram. Both are told. Paryaga Chukram. You must know this fact that Shukram, he is the omnipotent, he has all the energy, and he is unembodied, Akayam. And Ashnaviram, he is without veins. That is the first two lines. And then it's told Apapa Vidham. The Lord is always pure. Anything comes to him, it also becomes pure. The example, Tejesham na doshaye. Sun, if it comes in contact with anything impure, it will make it pure. If there is some very filthy place where people will pass stool and urine, it is so filthy. But if the sunlight comes over there, it will dry up everything. Everything gets dried and it will clean the place. At the same time, the sun doesn't get contaminated. He is always pure. The same thing is true for the Lord also. When anything that comes in contact with the Lord, that object gets purified, but the Lord will not get contaminated. It is not only true for the Lord, it is also true for the devotees of the Lord. If you see the example of Haridas Thakur, he was chanting the 192 malas every day, that 3 lakh times he was chanting the holy name of the Lord. Almost 24 hours it will take. And when the person who sent a prostitute, that prostitute got purified by hearing the chanting of the Haridas Thakur, but Haridas Thakur never got contaminated. That is the power of holy name. That is the power of the Lord. So that is why it is called as Apapa Vidham, Kavir Manishi. Here the word Kavi means omniscient. Word Kavi means the person who has all the knowledge. That is omniscient. He knows everything. Manishi, philosopher. O greatest of all, Swayambhu, self-sufficient. He is not depending on anybody. And finally, immemorial, Swayambhu. That is, he is always present. So these are the 2 points we should understand here. One is about the body of the Lord. Other one is the purity of the Lord. Puja Mataji.
Yes, this I should read.
Yes, Mataji.
I think I just read this, Prabhuji.
Oh, you read it. Okay, sorry. That was okay. Continue, Mataji.
Yeah. Apapa Vidham. This is most important part of this verse. No sin can pollute Krishna. There cannot be any sinful action. Your laws cannot restrict Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, continue, Mataji.
Yeah. For you, there may be so many restrictive laws. Sometimes less intelligent class of men, they criticize Krishna, how he enjoyed the company of so many young girls.
Continue.
They were wives of other persons. So how it is so? So the answer was given that Krishna cannot be contaminated. Rather, anything comes to Krishna, even with the contaminated mind, becomes purified. Sri Ishopanishad Lecture, Los Angeles, May 11, 1970. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So this is the answer, how the Krishna could do all this. So these people who danced with Krishna, they are not ordinary people. They are the greatest devotees of the Lord. And if you see the background, there are many gopis. They are come from the Ramayana time. Those rishis, they came as devotees and they become gopis in the Krishna Lila. And there are many people, demigods, who came as gopis, and many people who came from the Goloka who became the gopis, like that. These all are not ordinary people like contaminated people. They all are great devotees of the Lord. Then only they can get the opportunity to serve the Lord. And their bodies are not material, and they all are spiritual body. In spiritual body, they have they had the pastime with the Lord. So there is no contamination in Lord. That is the Shuddham, most purified. Lata Mataji.
Shuddham, most purified. The sun extracts moisture from untouchable place, yet it remains pure, purifies obnoxious things by virtue of its sterilizing powers. Mantra 8 purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So this is, we have seen the today's lesson 4. Not completely. I request all of you to read purport for even more explanations. So what are the things we learned today? Understand, discuss the main philosophical points from 4 to 8. Taddure tadvantike ekatvam anupashyataha shuddham apapaviddham. These are the main points that we have learned. Finally, Lata Mataji.
In his childhood, he killed many powerful demons such as Agasura, Bakasura, and Sakatasura, and there was no question of his having acquired such power through any extraneous endeavor. He lifted Govardhana hill without ever practicing weightlifting. He danced with the gopis without social restriction and without reproach.
Continue, Mataji.
Although the gopis approached him with a paramour feeling of love, the relationship between the gopis and Lord Krishna was worshipped even by Lord Chaitanya, who was a strict sannyasi and rigid follower of disciplinary regulation. Mantra 8 purport. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So with this, we have come to the conclusion of today's session. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. Any questions in today's session? Today's session was about understanding the absolute truth for getting the Ishavasya principle, for following the or living in the Ishavasya principle. Anu Mataji.
Prabhuji, can I ask a question?
Yes, Mataji, sure.
Prabhuji, why did Vyasdev write Shiv Puran if he had already, the supremacy of God was already established and the Varnashram system also was there, that a person from Tamsik Guna could move on to Sattvic Guna? There was no need for Shiv Puran because Shiv Puran is people who are in Tamsik mode. So why did he write Shiv Puran so that people in Tamsik mode can remain there? He did not give them an opportunity to move on in their soul upliftment.
No, the first point, whatever you told is true. Second point is not true. Any person who wants to do any activity, then he has to match that mode, whatever activity you are doing. For example, a person who wants to work hard in the field, if you ask him to sit and write something or do some literature work, he will feel sleepy. He'll not be able to do that. The person who is in Rajoguna, if you give him Sattva-guna work, he cannot do. Or person who is in Tamoguna, if you give him Rajoguna work, he cannot do. The similar mode has to be matched. So any person in whatever mode he may be, from that mode itself, we have to elevate that person gradually. For that, the Vyasdev has written 3 types of Puranas: Sattvic Puran, Rajasic Puran, and Tamasic Puran. It doesn't mean that the Purana is Tamasic. The Purana is beyond the 3 modes, but it is meant for those people who are in that mode so that they can elevate themselves gradually. For example, if you see in the morning, early morning, you are in the Sattva Guna. You can do Sattva Guna activities. But the same activity, if you do it in the afternoon, you get disturbed because your mode is not matching. If you may be chanting some mantra in the very early morning. You do the same thing when you are lunchtime. You don't remember only most of the time. Or you don't feel like chanting, or you don't get that same feeling or the experience because the mode is not matching. So unless you have that particular mode, now everyone cannot brought in the same mode if you have only one kind of literature. So that particular, but at the same time, these tamo guna, those Puranas which are for tamo guna, it should not be read by the people who are in sattva guna, because there also mode doesn't have a match, and there is a chances that those people will think this itself is highest. In some places, if you want to eat meat, you can do this and you can eat. If you want to drink alcohol, you can do this such and such things and you can drink. So if a person already elevated, he has given up all these things and he comes back here and thinks that, oh, this is all allowed actually, then it is wrong. It is for, everything is for elevating the people. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Siddharth Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna.
This question is on ekatvam. I'm just trying to remember two things. One is kshetra, kshetragya. So living being is also kshetragya with respect to the body.
Yes.
Super soul is also kshetragya with respect to all living beings. And also there is another shloka which talks about the person who is in full Krishna consciousness. He sees the Brahmin, the dog, the elephant, all categories as same. So these two combinedly, are they going towards the same ekotvam principle, or again these are different?
Okay.
I was trying to have a connect with all.
Yeah. First point is you're telling kshetra, I am also the knower, God is also knower. Here the knower means experience. I have the experience of my body, you have the experience of your body, but God has the experience of everybody.
Yeah.
But the second point, what you told, it is not about the experience, it is the vision. That devotee who is at the spiritual platform is able to see the Lord in every living entity. It doesn't mean that he is getting the experience of that body, of that person. So that is the spiritual platform, what they explained in the second example, what you told. But in the first example, it is true for all. Every living entity has the experience of their body, provided the body part is not separated. The consciousness is the symptom of soul, and the soul is having the awareness of the body. Hope this answers your question. It is not the same.
It's not the same. No, in ekatvam, I think, sorry for extending this question. In ekatvam, we are, of course, we have not experienced it, but at least the shloka gives us this explanation to try to experience or do our devotional service as much as possible to perhaps experience at some point of time the principle of ekatvam, where of course it is not as per the Mayavadis where myself and God are same, but the experience of living being and the super soul, this experience that okay, he is the master of the entire land, and I'm maybe master of my body. This experience, this in any case we are not experiencing. We are knowing it from just the knowledge. This is not even an experience as of now.
Devotee is able to see the Lord. He's having the experience of seeing the Lord, but he is not having the experience of the Lord how he is. And again here, he is not going to become the Lord. That is again becomes the Mayavada desire. I want to control over the Lord. The Lord has the knowledge of everything. But when a person becomes a devotee, he is not expecting to take over that position in which the Lord is omnipresent, omniscient, all that platform. The devotee will not take it. That platform will not be given to him. The Lord will remain as it is. Nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam ekoyo bahunam vidadati kaman. The living entity is eka. He is separated, and he is always a servant, even at the liberated state, even when he is a devotee. He is not going to take up the position of the Lord, the power of the Lord, or the experience of the Lord. Nothing will come to him. He is not aspiring for that also. He will remain as a humble servant of the Lord. But he has the experience of the Lord. It is not only theory or knowledge. He is able to see the Lord. He is able to reciprocate with the Lord. And whatever the Lord gives him, the knowledge or the activity or whatever order that is given by the Lord, he will perform it. And for performance, whatever energy or anything that is needed, it will be given by the Lord himself. I am taking the example of those people who come as the representative of the Lord. They will also have the same freedom as the Lord, just like the king and the ambassador. If the ambassador goes to another country, he will be given as much respect as the Lord himself. That is the duty of the country or the people. But at the same time, the ambassador knows I am not the king. I am only a representative. Similarly, the guru is also given the same respect as that of the Lord. But the guru, he knows that the Lord is taking this service through me. Whatever we are offering to the Lord, Guru, it will go to the Lord. So he will always be in the situation of a servant. He will not take over the position of the Lord. If he has that intention, then it again becomes the Mayavadi principle. So what we are asking, why not the pure devotee become as powerful as the Lord? Because he is not aspiring for it. And Lord is also not giving that. I think
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Akhila Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Yes, Mataji.
Guruji, like Krishna, difference between Krishna consciousness and Ishavasya principle, Guruji. Krishna consciousness means our consciousness filled with Krishna. And like Ishavasya means Lord Krishna present himself in everybody's heart. Whether this, it holds good, Guruji?
It is, both are coming in the same platform, Mataji. If you say Ishavasya principle itself, it is just one understanding. It's a one aspect of Krishna consciousness. But Krishna consciousness covers this Ishavasya principle. In
Both mean same then?
Yes, yes. But if you only say Ishavasya principle, I am following Ishavasya principle, you may not be a complete Krishna conscious person. I am just understanding that everything belongs to Krishna. Okay. And whatever comes to me, I will accept it. But in a higher understanding, it may not be complete Krishna conscious. But if you are Krishna conscious, then you are already a follower of Ishavasya principle.
Then Prabhuji, one question, like assignment question we have Ishavasya principle. So in Ishavasya principle, one limitation we will get, suppose if a Indian soldier, while in war, while attacking their opponent, if that person thinks, even that person also has Ishavasya, means then it will be difficult, that limitations will be there, can that limitation be written in assignment or not necessary?
Yeah, in the spiritual platform, there is no enmity and there is no mode. Yeah. If you say war, it's in the Rajoguna mode. Yeah. If that mode is removed, then nobody is enemy, nobody is friend. If you say example of Rishabdev, when he was Avaduta, he was going to all the places where his enemies were there. But he was not fighting with them. He was acting like Avaduta. For these Avadutas, there is no war. Yeah. This war and all is there only for those who are in the modes. And this is true even for devotees also. There are many devotees who earlier they were making business and they were having so much competition, so much fight. Once they became devotees, they went and begged with the people who were their enemies also. And recent example, that is some 500 years back. Recent examples, if you see in ISKCON, once upon a time, somebody was a police and another person was a thief. Now both have become devotees. Now they both together sit and serve Krishna. Such kind of example also there. So if you just remove the modes, no, everything becomes neutral.
Then Prabhuji, I can remove my mode. My opponent, I can't remove their mode, right? It's very difficult. No?
Then you are not the right person to be there.
Then Prabhuji, then if that is the case, means India would have been like, it will be like foreign invaders, like all those things.
One more thing is, modes cannot be removed so easily. You are there means you have that mode for a purpose. Unless you have that mode, you will not be qualified to enter that profession itself. Once you get into that, then it becomes your duty. That's what Krishna says to Arjuna. Ma manusmara yudhyacha. You can become a devotee even while fighting. How? Because you have taken the role of a Kshatriya, now you have to fight. You cannot give up. And if you all decided not to take a role of a Kshatriya, then at the beginning itself, you should not have come to this war itself. You could have done like Vidura. He went to Tirtha Kshetra. He had no sin. Nobody is blaming him. Later, Vidura came and he is the person in the conversation of Srimad Bhagavatam for up to, I think, 7th canto. He's such a great person. There is no sin for Vidura. Why? He taken a proper decision in the beginning itself and he left it. But what is the condition of Arjuna? He came for the war and he, with so much of energy, he told, Krishna, take my chariot to middle of the army. I want to see those who come here and to help that Duryodhan. He told so much of enthusiasm. Now, after coming, after everything is ready, now the war they have already blown the conch shell. Now, if you say, no, I am not going to fight, that is not allowed. Then you will be at fault. So if you are telling that if Kshatriya, immediately he gets Ishavasya principle, then he leaves all the weapons and runs away, that is not correct. That will not happen also. You have to choose your profession or you have to choose your part properly. Whether you want to, whichever part you want to take in the society, of course, there is gradation in that. Those who are pure devotees of the Lord, they will be happy in serving the Lord. And Lord will take care of them always. But those who are taking the role of a Kshatriya or a Brahmana or a Vaishya or a Shudra, they have to act in that role because they have chosen that role. And these roles, that is not our choice. It is not so easy to change our mode. We choose it depending on our mode, and this mode will take away further. This changing the mode, we need a lot of energy. If you do it artificially, then as Krishna told, if you don't fight here, you will fight somewhere else. So better you fight here itself. If you don't fight here and if you go to other places and if you fight there, then it will become defame for you in both places. Because they will also say, there you could not fight, now what you are coming here? Like that they will blame you. And here also they blame, or that person, he ran away from the war. So both places you are loser. So consciously you have to act.
Then Prabhuji, you mean to say no limitations is there? Like only according to the mode we have to act.
Yes. Yasya lakshanam proktam punso varnabhivenjakam yad anyatrapi drishyeta tat tenaiva vinirdishet. Whenever any person shows any kind of mode, according to that mode, we should identify that person, not with his birth.
Well, yeah, that is okay.
Yeah, he can change definitely, but not overnight.
And suppose if that my opponent is like aggressive mode, then I should be aggressive, no?
Yes, definitely. Because you are the right person to be there, that's why you are there. Otherwise, you may not be there. you may not be facing that person. Otherwise, you leave that situation and bring the person who is capable of facing that. Just like if a terrorist comes and he is shooting everyone, now you don't have any gun with you, so it is not your duty to go and face that person. You should inform the right person and hand over the situation. But they will take care of it.
Oh.
But if it is your role, then you should do it. If just a simple example, a small child is crying in the road, doesn't know anything, simply crying. So you can go and address that problem because it is within your capacity. See, what happens whenever we try to understand philosophy in deep, then suddenly if you see the general rules and regulations, they look illogical. Whenever we go deep into the Ishavasya principle, then suddenly you look into the ordinary normal life, or there is something different. But you should be both. You should be philosophical also and realistic also, both together. Hope I answered your question. I am not confused you.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Do we have class next week since Guru Maharaj is visiting?
Yeah, no, we don't have Mataji because it is not possible. I will post it also. As you asked, most probably there won't be class.